are moments in life when everything we thought we could manage suddenly stops responding to us. A situation changes direction without warning. A decision is made that shifts something we depended on. Something we pushed aside returns with a weight we can no longer ignore. Life simply moves in a way we did not anticipate at all. What felt stable begins to shift. What felt certain becomes unclear. And whatever that is, it does not wait. It demands our attention. Not later, now. At first, we respond the way we usually do. We think through it, we look for explanation, we try to regain control. But there are situations that do not respond to our efforts in that way. They remain open, unresolved. They stretch across days, sometimes longer, without giving us anything definite to hold on to. And slowly, something more unsettling begins to take shape. A sense of aimlessness, a loss of direction. We begin to move through our own lives without knowing where to stand within them. Things continue, conversations, responsibilities, routines, but our place inside them becomes unclear. We hesitate in moments that used to feel simple. We question decisions that once felt obvious. There is a quiet disorientation that is difficult to explain to anyone else. Not because something dramatic is happening at all times, but because something essential has shifted in how we are oriented within it. And yet, even in that disorientation, not every moment carries the same weight. There are brief intervals when the intensity softens, moments where clarity seems close, even if it does not stay. A few minutes where things feel more grounded before uncertainty returns again. These moments matter more than they appear, because they show us something that even in the middle of instability, there are points where we are not entirely lost. Places within our lives where something in us holds. They can be specific, a familiar space where nothing needs to be explained. A chair, a room, a window. Places that feel unchanged, even when everything else is shifting. A conversation with someone who does not require us to prepare ourselves, where words arrive as they are, and silence does not need to be filled. A moment of stillness in the day that belongs only to itself. Early morning light entering a room. Late evening when everything begins to slow. Or something even simpler. Watching the way a tree moves in the wind without resistance. The way birds settle and lift again without urgency, without hesitation. the way nature continues without questioning itself. In these moments, nothing is being solved, nothing is being decided, and yet something in us begins to settle. That is where something begins to form. Small islands of peace. Because we are no longer trying to move ahead of life or pull it into place. We are simply inside it. And these moments hold us. They hold us without requiring clarity, without requiring resolution. They allow us to stand without knowing what comes next. That is what makes them different. They do not remove what we are facing, but they reduce the distance between us and ourselves. They bring us back into contact with something steady. A feeling from earlier life, a time when something offered us stability without needing anything in return. A voice, a presence, a relationship that made the world feel navigable. Not as something to return to in the past, but as something that still exists within us. A trace of grounding that did not disappear. And when we begin to recognize these moments, we can start to meet them more consciously. To notice when they appear, to remain in them a little longer. To begin gradually to build a bridge toward them. These islands do not remove what we are facing. The situation remains. Life continues to move. Uncertainty does not disappear. But something shifts in how we stay within it. Because we are no longer without ground. We have somewhere to return. And that matters more than it seems. Because when everything is shifting, what we need is not necessarily control. We need orientation. The ability to return again and again and again to something that holds. To recognize these places when we enter them. To remember them when we are far from them. To keep them present in our awareness so they are available when everything else feels uncertain. Over time, this becomes something we can rely on. A structure. A quiet internal geography of places we know. Places that do not disappear when life becomes difficult. We are still here, still in contact with ourselves, still able to pause without stepping away from life, still able to remain present even when nothing has fully settled. And perhaps that can be enough for now. To know that within everything that changes, there are still places we can return to. Places that hold long enough for us to find our footing again. Places inside us. Places we can return to again and again and again.